Denton Phillips Jr. was born, as he liked to say, under a shade tree on a vacant lot in Caney, Indian Territory. He was the third child and first son of 8 children born to Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Denton Phillips Sr. Andrew attended elementary school in Caney, but during his teen years, he moved to Atoka to live with his grandmother, and that's when he became a Wampus cat. Although he never said why he decided to move to Atoka, the football program probably had a lot to do with his decision. Andrew played back in the days when the team wore either no helmets or leather helmets, and he liked to say the only time he got knocked out was when he was actually wearing a leather helmet. After graduating from Atoka in 1924, Andy attended Southeastern Oklahoma State Teachers College in Durant and decided he was to be a teacher. After college, he began teaching in Brewer, a small rural school in Pittsburgh County, and it was there that he met a young teacher from Savannah named Luna Lynn, and they fell in love. However, the country was in the middle of the Great Depression, and teachers were allowed to receive only a portion of their salaries, and women were not even allowed to teach at all if they were married. This posed a problem for Andrew and Luna, but they soon found a solution. They went to Eufaula, Oklahoma, and were married in March of 1934. However, they kept their marriage a secret until school was out for the summer. That way, Luna could continue working. The next year, Andy and Luna moved to North Dakota, where Andy taught school for the Indian Service. When Andy's contract was up with the Indian Service, they returned to Oklahoma, and he was registered for the draft and went to work for the railroad. When he was called, he went to the draft board, but he was rejected because they said he had flat feet. Pearl Harbor was bombed, and the U.S. entered the war in 1941. Andy was again called for the draft. This time, however, when he reported, he was asked if he had ever been rejected, and he said, well, yes, because he had flat feet. The person in charge said, well, you walked in here on those feet, didn't you? Andy was then inducted into the Navy and sent to boot camp. And then he was stationed in Camp Peary, where he taught recruits to read and write for the remainder of the war. After the war was over, Andy returned to his job with the railroad, and he and his growing family, which by now included 3 daughters, moved to Richmond, California. The dream of owning a newspaper began, and when the opportunity arose, he jumped at it, and the family moved to Montana, and then later they moved to Colorado. When Andrew Sr. began experiencing bad health and losing his eyesight, Andy's parents wanted him to come home and help close their business. It probably didn't take too much convincing, as Andy loved Atoka and all things Atoka County. In 1950, the Atoka County Times was born, and for the next 25 years, Andy and Luna were the owners, publishers, and editors. Andy wrote stories about Atoka and people in Atoka County. He sold advertisements for the paper, reported on sports events as well as the political news. He wrote a weekly column, It Says Here, by Andy. Sometimes the column was serious, sometimes it was funny, and sometimes it was news about the family, but it always showed his love and respect for Atoka. In 1960, he received Man of the Year award from the NAACP for his dedication in helping integrate Dunbar and Atoka schools. Throughout the years, Andy and Luna hired the young high school men to work for the paper, doing the heavy lifting and learning the business. The Phillips enjoyed the students so much that they decided to start a scholarship program to help those students continue their college education. You know, nothing made him happier than to be able to run a story with the headline that read, Boggy Bottom Student Triumphs. The Atoka County Times kept updating, and in the early 1960s, the paper went offset, which made publishing easier. The paper also moved its location from North Main to a building next door to the fire station. The paper remained in this location until the Phillips' retirement. When Andy and Luna decided to retire, they sold the Atoka County Times, bought a camper shell for a pickup, and started their adventures in retirement. For a year, they lived the lives of happy retirees, and they finally settled in Stigler, Oklahoma to be near their grandchildren. Their 3 daughters, Sharon, Judith, and Dorothy, continued in their parents' footsteps and are college graduates, as well as all 4 of their grandchildren. Each generation continues to remember their pappy by carrying on the family name of Andrew or Andrea. No matter where Andy Phillips traveled, Atoka and Atoka County remained forever in his heart. On June 21, 1984, Andy died in Stigler, Oklahoma, and he is buried next to his loving wife, Luna, in their beloved Atoka. Mr. Phillips' great legacy is the Atoka County Times, which today has been in operation for 62 years and is still reporting the news of the county and the schools. Someone once said that reading the paper was just like sitting down and talking to Andy. Personal, fun, exciting, and always interesting. The Atoka Alumni Association's 2018 Hall of Fame recipient, Andrew Denton Phillips, Jr. Boggy Bottom Boy done good.
And seize the day, minute by minute. That's how you win it. We will find the